SDR News coverage of InterOp 2014 in Las Vegas features interviews with a number of InterOp exhibitors, including this in-depth interview series, which was recorded and provided by HP.
So we've been talking a lot about mobility. And so this next part here is all around, we haven't really talked a lot about data center, and coming right in on the camera, Jeff Lim, thank you for joining us. So Jeff manages our data center technical marketing organization, and one of the things that we've haven't talked about is data center. So Jeff, we'll give you a little plug here, but what I'm thinking is maybe you can give a little bit of an update. We've been talking a lot about mobility and SDN because that was really our announcements on Monday were very much around that. But now maybe you can talk a little bit. We do have some new modules out, so for those that aren't familiar, maybe just can introduce the big chassis and then talk about some of those modules.
Sure. So yeah, we released the 12900 series platform last year at InterOp. So here in front of us is the 12910. Our first release was a 48 port SFP Plus module for 10 gig, and then we also had the 16 port 40 gig module. We just released the 4 port 400 gig module, as well as a 48 port SFP module, a 48 port 10100 1000 module, and then a 12 port 40 gig module. So some of these modules, especially the 1 gig, are EB, and we also released a EC module. That's the 12 port 40 gig. The original modules were EA modules. Another tidbit, I know it's a live thing, and I can't ask you to raise your hand or have a question out there, but the SERDES connections, everyone is wondering, hey, how is this? I remember our old boxes. Remember, we always started low. We started at 3.125 gig for each SERDES connection going into from the backplane. And then our second generation would jump that up to 6.125, right? The SERDES connections here on the 12900 platform start out at 10.5 gig. That's the actual raw bandwidth of the SERDES connection. So after you include, the encoding, interframe gap, we're talking about 8.65 gig per SERDES connection on here. Again, depending on the LPU, you're going to have different SERDES connections. This one here, the 48 port 10 gig has 16, and this one, the 16 port 40 gig has 24 SERDES connections. So I'll let you guys do the math, but we definitely have enough bandwidth available in this chassis to, again, start releasing higher scale modules. Last thing on that whole SDN front is the OpenFlow. OpenFlow 1.3.1 support is now available on the 12900. Thanks, Eric.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks so much for the update and some good stuff. Sounds like we got some pretty heavy, it keeps growing. The big iron keeps growing and more expandable, more scalable. So that's awesome. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you again for joining us. We got clapping in the background. You have an audience, a real audience.